Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
No, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Magic episode 69 of the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is part 2 of the Trent Sheppard episodes. If you've just listened to part 1, well, let's get ready for the second one. We also have a new segment in this one as well. This is the story time. So if you have a story you want to submit to the story time, make sure you send it through to markyworthingtoncomedy@gmail.com. And we'll go through those and then hopefully read some of the cool ones on the show. Submit them all through and we'll get into it. Hope you enjoyed the intro we did for the story time. And hopefully it becomes an ongoing thing for the show because I like getting stories out, and I hope people can send through stuff that they want us to read on the show as well. So let's get into it. Cheers.
I love that it's the Marky Worthington podcast with Marky Worthington.
Alrighty, back by popular demand or just pure laziness. We're doing a second fucking episode. Welcome to episode 69.
Yo!
Hey, nice.
Finally got to 69 with Mark.
Hey.
Been a decade coming, mate.
Fuck yeah, I've been doing this podcast for a while and I never thought it'd end on this.
Yeah. This is what will get us cancelled.
Yeah. To be fair, 69 episodes is, aside from not being the right number to turn the volume... Oh, actually, when it comes to volume control, is 69 excused?
I'm old, mate. Nothing gets turned up that high.
Yeah.
Barely go past 12.
You're not old enough, dude. Dude, old cunts have it like minimal 40. Like, if you ever just walk past a house and you know there's someone old living in there because you can hear them watching Days of Our Lives
At 140
from the street.
decibel,
Yeah.
Like, funnily enough, man, like, I would have thought, because, you know, years of being a mechanic, and there was no, like, if you tried to wear PPE back then, you'd get called a fairy.
Sure, that's what they call it.
Hearing protection or any of that. I mean, it's different nowadays.
They probably call you some other shit, you just couldn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. So, yeah, years being a mechanic without any hearing protection and years working basement, like I said, like every single gig at the basement for a long time.
Yeah.
I can still hear.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get to use that as an excuse and pretend that I can't.
Yeah. Well, I think that...
Because most people that we know as mutual friends are deaf as shit. They've all got industrial deafness.
Yeah. Most of them... anyone that's been... Oh, fuck, it's nearly like one of those things where it's like the smoker didn't die, but his missus did from the passive smoke.
Yeah, because he was smoking the filtered stuff.
Yeah.
And he's getting the unfiltered shit coming up in.
It's a bit like the wives of the husbands that worked at the asbestos mines also died, but the hubbies were like so loaded that they just fucking... Some of those cunts were so overloaded.
Well, they would have been cleaning their clothes and shit too. Like,
Well, that's the thing. That's actually what the reason was. Because
they'd
they'd come home and they'd shake out their overalls and that'd be it. But when the blokes that were working with it, you know, they were so overloaded with asbestos, apparently it was coming out of the tips of their fingers. You ever get a splinter?
Really?
It was working its way out of their bodies.
I actually got that for years, because when I was a young fella, I jumped down off a park bench thing that I was standing on and landed on a broken beer bottle. I just got a shit ton of glass all through my foot.
Did you wish that was the only time that was ever going to happen in your life?
Look, at the time I thought that would be the
last time.
Yeah, turns out I was wrong.
Turns out you're more of a fan of Johnny Farnham than you thought.
So you know, I was saying earlier, like I saw that meme where they say that one day your parents pick you up and never put you down.
Yeah.
I can actually take it back to the last time that my parents picked me up, because I was 5.5 when that happened. It's one of my earliest memories, which probably explains a lot about me.
Yeah.
But
trauma tends to help solidify the memory.
So yeah, it would have been about 5.5 when it happened, and I was that inconsolable, and for whatever reason I wouldn't let Dad pick me up, like Mum had to carry me. So my mum had to carry me.
What is this, the fucking Doug Stanhope podcast? Just flicking a lighter whilst I was trying to talk?
Fuck, you wish, mate. Yeah, so anyway, so she had to carry me like 30 metres or something, and at 5.5 I was almost already as big as her.
Yeah.
Which is only a 5'2".
Yeah. Unit.
And so she had to carry me like 30 metres, which absolutely killed her. But anyway, so they got all the glass that they could out of my foot and then stitched me up. But obviously there's going to be like these little shards and stuff that you couldn't get it. So for years, I just have this bit of glass just growing out of my foot.
Yeah.
It just, the body just naturally
Pushes
rejected them,
it
but
out,
it took a long time for it to happen. It's probably until I was maybe 10 or 11. I think
Yeah.
was the last time I remember it happening.
You're picking it up, but it was just lint.
Yeah.
Like a joke.
And it turns out it was my belly button, not my foot.
You mean the bottom of your chins.
Yeah.
Call back to 68.
It's the little chin bum thing. Everyone thinks it's a belly button, but it's actually the little chin bum thing that you get.
Under his belly, he's got another fist. The belly fister. But, the Belco belly fister.
The belly fist, that would definitely be the name of my sex tape.
Yeah, there we go. The Belco belly
The
fister.
Belco belly fister. 2615 represent.
It's not even tattooed on your hands. Oh, shit.
6254, that's the Higgins
Yeah.
phone number thing. 2615, the area code.
Fuck, all right then. There we go.
Represent, boy.
Oh, was that... When was that? When did you get that?
That was during lockdown as well. So probably 2 years ago, and obviously I've never had them touched up. They're almost gone now, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go see them again probably, I don't know,
When you can.
month or two maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're going to get a big trad pirate ship up the front of my leg as well.
Yeah, nice.
Shit like that, so.
Yeah, I've got a couple of designs lined up. I'm actually going down to Melbourne in October and just booking out a week.
Yeah, nice.
And because I've got a gig at the end of October in Beechworth, like comedy.
Have you travelled have you done comedy outside of Canberra yet?
Yeah, so not much, but I've done Sydney, I've done Melbourne a couple of times, but I've done Wagga, I've done a couple of regional things.
There's no actual just like comedy clubs anymore, is there?
They're coming up, but if they're big enough to have a club that's devoted to comedy, they're not going to have people that aren't big comedians.
You need to be a name or have a name.
Yeah, it's gonna be all fucking like. But the good thing is, the big ones usually have an opener, and that's as we know from the band world.
So that's why you get like your 12 minutes or.
Yeah, so if I that's why I like to work on having a solid 5. See, the problem is I'm at the point now where my favourite time is 10 to 15 on a spot because I can do a story
Just
if I want to.
10 sort of thing.
If I was going to do half an hour, I could do that.
Yep.
But I can also simmer down to do a tight 15.
Yeah, because you are more of a storyteller, aren't you? You're not a fucking one line Mark Norman.
Yeah,
type,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I do a 5, the problem is I've got a good 10, I've got a good 15, but I really have to trim a lot to get a good 5.
Yep.
So when I have to, if I open for someone and they want a 5, I'm like, I really have to practice doing 5. Like if I go to and to be fair, most of what I do is open mics, and I'm doing more open mics than paid shit.
Yeah, of course. Because comedy is like it's a 10-year apprenticeship.
Mm.
Yeah. So you look at it that way. You're only halfway through your apprenticeship, aren't you?
That's it. And the thing is, unlike most apprenticeships, at least you got a qualification at the end. When you finish a comedy 10-year apprenticeship, you might find out you're not fucking good.
Yeah.
Like you could get out to the other end and decide I don't want to do it anymore because it's not for me.
You know, at the end of your mechanics apprenticeship, you get a ticket. At the end of your comics apprenticeship, you get frequent flyer miles and a drinking problem.
Sometimes a drinking ticket. That's how they pay most gigs.
Maybe I am a comedian.
You're a good fucking storyteller. I think that's why a lot of being a good comedian comes down from being a good storyteller, and you just build from that.
Yep.
Like when you get your first good story that you tell at a pub and someone goes, dude, that's fucking funny. That's when a lot of comedians get into comedy, is because they're the funny guy in the group.
Do you remember the first time someone told you that you were funny?
We spoke about this on the podcast before.
Oh, did we? Okay.
When someone was like, oh, did you make that chick laugh because you're a funny cunt?
Okay, right, yeah, I did tell that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. But the first time I ever was told that I was funny, no one ever said it. People just laughed, and I was like, "Oh, that I like making people laugh."
You're the little entertainer, like
Yeah,
the kid that'd fall over on purpose.
Yeah.
And that sort of shit.
Well, like for example, my old man got me a magic trick book,
Yeah.
and it had like it wasn't like
Like
card.
little kitty card trick.
It wasn't just cards. It was like fucking like. It was weird. It was like written in the 60s. So one of the jokes in there was, you can tell people that you're a ghost. You just got to put a handkerchief under your arm and cut off blood supply to your hands, and they won't be able to feel your pulse. Like that's how old that book was.
9 out of 10 surgeons recommend Marlboro cigarettes.
Literally though, like it was, like one of the things was they were just all
Back
little.
when Hitler was a bad egg.
Yeah. It's just like It's that was Hitler's joke book, man. It's just like, oh, like if you can just take weird shit and make it funny, and it just got too out of hand.
Took that joke a bit far, didn't he?
People started taking him seriously, so he had to just commit to the
Like,
bit.
yeah, I've overcommitted to this bit now. It's like when someone's called you the wrong name for like 6 months, and then you start becoming actual friends.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it'd just be weird to tell them my actual name at this point.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to have to change my name.
I fucking learnt the hard way to fucking like check people's names, because sometimes I was the reason for that. I'd just find a name that was close enough and just start calling someone that.
That's the bartender's curse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you meet so many people, and all of them want to be mates with the bartender. And then they start becoming regulars, and you start becoming actual mates, and you go, yeah, this guy or girl told me their name 6 months ago. It would be so weird to turn around and say, all right, I know we're actual mates and we've actually hung out for this much time.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah. Just here to pay your tab off. What name should I look at? That's another one.
That's a good idea. Yeah, get them to start a tab, and so they hand over their credit card.
Yeah.
And go, fuck, it's only got an initial anyway.
Yeah. Hello, fucking.
Start calling you Shawlsy for the rest of my life.
It's like, yeah, you got fucking 4 friends called Jonesy. But that's the thing, man. Like, I also call people by like distinguishable features in my mind. So I'll be like, yeah, like, because you know,
You are so on the spectrum.
Yeah. Welcome back to Love on the Spectrum. So 69 edition.
69 on the spectrum, baby. Let's go.
So it was one of those things where it was like, you'd see someone and you'd be like, as a bartender, you'd be like, Red Hat's had enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same as mechanics. Like, you don't necessarily, like, as a young mechanic, I was really into cars, and so you start going out to car meets and different things, and you wouldn't remember a person, but you'd go, oh yeah, Black VL is going to be here. You know, blue Datsun 180B is coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
No idea what their name is, but you know everything about their car.
Yeah. It's actually like, you're saying that's like some Spectrum shit too, by the way, but
Good.
but the
Look at us just diagnosing each other.
yeah. Oh, fucking turn this 69 into a circle joke.
Go get a sayo.
It's like my old man does the same thing. He'll be like, oh, what's that fucking guy who drives that, you know, that old Falcon or whatever.
But you know exactly what he's talking about.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or it'd be like, but he'll be oddly specific. He'll be like, you know that bloke that's got a fucked petrol cap, so he just leaves it open. You try to fuck people over, dude. I've seen cars in car parks, and I know that if the thing's open, don't close it for them, because that's probably open because it doesn't.
For a reason. Shit, I hadn't thought of that.
Because if it's open, that means that it doesn't open when you pull the button.
Yeah, so the cable's gone.
Yeah, so they just leave it open.
Oh shit, I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I've accidentally screwed a few people over thinking I was being helpful.
You come back and it's just like, fuck. It's like, it's one of those things where you try to...
The XD, XE, XO Falcons, that was a big problem that they had.
Yeah, see, there you go. Spectrum shit. But that's the... it's like, I forgot who... I think it was Jim Jeffries has that bit about how, like, when you find out that you're on the spectrum, it probably is because one of your parents is.
Yeah.
So unlike finding out you're gay, you don't need to tell your parents they probably are too.
Oh, shit. The old nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. I suppose I haven't. So I did actually, I came out on my 21st.
Yeah.
So like we did the whole thing, and so I was doing a 21st speech, And my whole thing was like, I'm going to pretend to come out.
Yeah.
My fucking sister ruined my bit. She told my parents like a week beforehand that I was doing it.
Oh, what?
You ruined the bit. Don't share jokes from the special before the special has gone on Netflix, you jerk.
Yeah, exactly. Don't film my set and put it on YouTube before I do it.
Yeah.
I was at Jim Jeffries, and there was some chick taking fucking show.
You know, Dave Chappelle makes people lock their phones up now.
Yeah, I heard that. So there was a fucking dude in the front row texting, and Jim goes
At a Jim Jeffries show.
in a front row
In
seat,
the front row.
and he was like, "Oh, I'm just messaging my girlfriend," and he's like, "Can't it wait?" And he's like, "She's sitting up the back," and he's like, "Oh, well, tell me, I'll tell her."
That's good.
and
I reckon that might have been a setup.
no, because he goes, tell her that there's only one seat up here, so she has to stay up the back. And he's like, so did you buy 2 tickets, one up the front and one up the back? And he's just like, yeah, well, I just thought I'd be able to get her up the front. I just, he's like, who's fucking swapping a front for a back? You're like, so anyway, midway through the show, they decide to do the old fucking 50-50.
I do try to swap the front for the back sometimes, but it doesn't work all that often.
At least he texted her first.
Just buy dinner.
yeah, exactly. That reminds me, I'll get back to that, but once I went to the cinema and I'm sitting in the back row on a date with this chick, and this dude comes up and he goes, "You're in my seat." Not like, "Hey, can I see your ticket?" or something. Or like, "Are you sure you're meant to be there?" Or like, "Hey, I've got this ticket."
Yeah.
Like, you got to kind of be a bit more tactful for that shit.
Yeah.
But he's with a girl and he's on a date too, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Either that or he kisses his sister. Either way, it explains his behaviour in a second, because he just goes, "You're in my seat." And I'm just like, oh. Because I thought maybe sometimes people get confused with the number. It's like one seat over.
What aisle it is and all that sort of shit, yeah.
And I'm like, nah, man, I'm like pretty sure it's mine. I pull mine out and the cinema ends at G. And I'm like, nah, it's G7 and 8, man. We're in 7 and 8. And he pulls it out and he's got A7 and 8.
Oh, so he didn't want to be sitting there watching it like this.
No, he thought the numbers start from the back.
Oh, right, yeah.
The
So
letters?
A, B, C, D, and he thought it was A, B. Yeah, gotcha.
So I watch him pull out his thing, check it, look at his date, and then has to watch the rest of the... He thought he had back row seats, and he's just fucking... Instead, he had a fucking free ticket to a chiropractor. But yeah...
Back to Jim Jeffries.
So, midway through the show, she comes down with her friend, and he goes up the back, but she's with her friend. So they're trying to sit in one seat with 2 people.
This is a nightmare.
And there's people in the front who all are Jim Jeffries friends, and she was just there because her tickets, the Jim Jeffries bit, there's people that are Jim Jeffries fans, and then there's their girlfriends.
Yeah. That's how comedy generally works.
Yeah, like good comedians anyway. Yeah. And they're fucking... I don't care about those bridges I just burnt. So... She's trying to, like, kind of, they're sitting, like, and they're pushing into people and shit, and then when they finally get settled, she's in the front, and she's got her phone out, and the chick that's next to them just goes, "Oh, put your fucking phone away," and Jim's midway through, like, a story, he's fucking, like, gotta get the timing.
Got the flow going, yeah, timing's so
He's
important.
in his chair, he's at the chair part of the story,
yeah.
And he just has to be like, what the fuck's going on? And the chick sitting next to him just goes, "She's filming." And she goes, "I'm taking a selfie." She wasn't filming the show. She was trying to get a selfie with the whole crowd behind her to be, "Look how important I am." She's having
I'm an influencer.
Yeah, yeah. Like, she's having a main character moment. Like, everyone's here to see me.
Yeah. Now, this actually brings up a question that I wanted to ask you, because obviously social media is very important to you, marketing-wise and stuff.
Yeah.
So you hear about influencers, right?
Mm.
When do you cross over from just being a narcissistic mutt that fucking puts shit on social media non-stop to actually being an influencer?
About 100K.
Now, mutt is a non-binary term, by the way. Mutt stands for both men and women.
About 100,000, I reckon.
Well, see, I was thinking, does it just come down to the number of followers that you have, or is it the moment that you start
It's
getting
not
paid
money.
promotion stuff that
No,
you
because
actually...
you can have 1 million followers and not get paid promotion off that. Dave Chappelle has no Instagram,
Really? Oh, there you go.
but he has all these like Dave Chappelle official like fucking wannabes,
So other people running Dave Chappelle pages.
like fan pages.
But I mean, but he's not an influencer. He's an actual comedian. I'm talking about people that don't actually do anything else except, get paid to go on holidays to Greece to promote the fucking resort they're staying at and just post thirst trap pictures. Like a Dan Bilzerian. Dan Bilzerian doesn't have an actual job. Apparently he's a poker player. But let's face it, he's an Instagram.
If he's fucking those chicks without a fucking condom, it's still gambling, right? How much hate does that cunt get just because he's with like all these models and shit?
Apparently he's an actual dickhead too.
But also, none of those. It's a bit like the
They're all paid, mate.
It's the Playboy Mansion, but only now the cunt's not 100.
Yeah. They wouldn't be there if they weren't getting money and cocaine to be there. They're not being there because he's so fun to hang out with.
Or exposure. Like some chicks
they're their own exposure and shit.
Yeah. Like, man, imagine how many chicks have done shit which they could have just all. Like, if they did the same shit, they would have got more, but they just didn't know their worth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, chicks that, like, were in the background of his video and didn't get any exposure, but they could have just like fucking blown Bill Gates and now they're on the front cover of everything. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't fucking know their worth. But I think the point, I reckon it's like the car service. You know how it's like 100,000 Ks or 5 years?
Yep.
It's like 100,000 followers or paid promotion.
Or 5 sponsors.
Whichever one comes first.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, actually, it's when you don't have another source of income.
Oh, yeah, that'll make sense. So, yeah, if you're making legit money just off, revenue stream, or whatever they call it, and you're living in a nice apartment in a nice part of Melbourne or something, and you're doing that just off the internet.
But the thing is, a lot of people. So there's comedians in the scene that don't have a day job, so they call themselves a full-time comedian. It's just like, dude, you're not.
Are they on the dole?
Yeah. Or they have a partner that financially supports
or
it.
something like that. Yeah.
It's just like you're not a full-time comedian. You just don't like people that like. If I quit my day job, I'm not a full-time comedian. That's what I do full-time.
You're just funny and unemployed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or like people that are like I used to know this cunt. He fucking was on the dole and he said that like he's retired. It's like, no, you just don't have a job. Like you're not retired. You just don't. You haven't got more work.
Are you on the dole or on the pension? If you're on the pension, you can say that you're retired. If you're on the dole, you're just unemployed.
Difference is, coffees are cheaper for one. Michelle's does like...
Apparently you get cheap buses too.
Yeah, look, I'd be happy if I never have to catch a bus again in my life, dude.
I don't mind catching a bus every now and then because I don't have to. I don't mind doing it because it feels like a little adventure. It's like,
like the seats.
Sometimes I'll sleep on the couch and it almost feels like I'm camping.
Yeah. You only catch buses in the same way that they do the CEO sleep out.
Yeah. Which just happened this weekend, actually.
Oh, did it? Yeah.
So I remember the last time I caught a bus, I was going into the Labour Club and meeting some friends there and then kicking on from there. And I'm like,
you're not going to drive.
I've got time. I'm not. Yeah, I'm clearly not going to drive. Like I can drive to there, but I'm not going to drive away from there.
Yeah.
So I caught the bus, and it was actually with a mate that was going on about how, everyone in Canberra, blah, blah, blah. I was trying to downplay it, and then we get on the bus. Turns out I knew the dude, and he dropped us off right at the Labour Club's front door. Oh. So I'm trying to downplay it, and then this happens like, it's hard to pretend to be humble anymore, is it?
It's like Stanhope says, I'm only famous for half an hour before my show within 100 metres of the venue.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
For you, that's the Labour Club.
Yeah, well, for me, it was Belconnen in general. And people go, oh, you're so famous, you're so famous, you're so famous. Like in Belconnen, maybe. But if I go to Western Creek, no one knows who the fuck I am.
It's also funny how...
I'd be more likely to randomly run into someone that I know in Melbourne than in Woden.
Yeah, probably a good thing. Yeah, look, I reckon that... How funny is it when you... Like, you might know this. I'm a bit more social media because I do it... Like, my personal shit, I don't update it very much, but I constantly update comedy.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's
what it is.
That's the hustle.
That's what you have to do now,
hustle,
yeah. But I know a few people just only on social media, and I see them in public,
right,
then it's like, I don't know you, but I know everything about you.
Yeah. I've got a lot of that with, so, again, it's coming back to basement and the music scene, but, you know, like some musicians that have come up from Melbourne regularly and became actual mates, or down from Sydney or whatever, but actual mates, and then you become mates with them, and then through following them, you feel like you become mates with their whole family, but you've never actually met them. But you actually care about their journey at the same time.
Yeah, you want them to fucking...
You want them to do well. You root for them just the same as you do any of your mates.
It's worked in my favour. So I was in Melbourne doing a gig. Oh, actually, we can make this the story time. So let's kick off a new segment for the show. This next part is called Story Time. Come on, grab your friends. We're all...
I already forgot this one.
Okay. The fun will never end. It's...
Story time.
There we go. So... When I was in Melbourne, I went down to do an open mic, and it was this venue that was like, it was like late night sort of open mic. So it runs from like 9 till 12. And the lineup was massive, and what happens is, because I'm out of town and no cunt knows me, they put me, they kept bumping me for like comedians dropping in, because being a 9 o'clock spot, everyone does a spot and does that last.
Right, yep.
So throughout the night, we're getting all these fucking people just dropping in, right? And I get to the fucking end of the night.
That's bad etiquette, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it just accepted? Or
each room's different, but the way I treat my room that I run at the basement is, if you're out of town, I'll give you a spot preference because you've travelled to be there.
Because you travelled, you spent the money, blah, blah, blah. It's the same with bands.
Also, the audience hasn't heard that person before. So it's also like courteous to the audience, just giving them something new, you know? It's a different comedian.
And also, it's only fair on the new comedian, because if you get too late, the audience is too lit. They're not going to remember. You might have the tightest five in the whole entire world, and the audience goes, "Oh, who was that guy that was funny yet? His hat on backwards." It doesn't matter.
Dude, one time I had this Scottish comedian drop into the basement, dude, and because I didn't know him, I had a local dude headline at the end of the night.
Right.
But he went up before him and
guy killed the room.
Decimated it, dude.
Took all the oxygen out of the room.
And old mate goes up at the end. He's like, "Who reckons he should have closed?"
Hey, you got to acknowledge it, right?
Yeah, he brought it back because he knew how to do it.
Sweet, good on him.
But
anyway, so you're down in Melbourne. Story time. We're already ruining this new bit.
And I don't end up getting to do my set at all because they bumped me so bad that the venue shut.
Really?
So
That's bad etiquette.
So we get out the front. Oh, by the way, by the break, they're like, okay, we're not going to fit everyone else in, so we're shortening it to 4-minute sets instead of 5. And then we get, okay, we're doing 3-minute sets for the last 3 comedians.
You can't, like you were saying earlier, like it's already hard to compress to 5. How are you going to take another 2 out of that?
The guy before me gets up with a fucking guitar and does 5 minutes, and I miss out. So we get out the front, and because it's Melbourne, every cunt's getting Ubers and shit, no one drives. And we fucking get out the front, and a guy that I knew from social media just popped up.
Just ignore that.
He just pops up. He was about to come in and try and catch like the end of the night.
Yep.
And I met him when I was there like a year prior at an open mic.
Right.
And him and I sort of chatted and got to know. He rocks up and he's like, "Hey man, I remember you from last year, man."
Oh, really?
He's like, "Did you get a spot?" And I was like, "Nah, I didn't." He's like, is it shut? And I'm like, yeah, it's all shut. He's like, fuck. He's like, would just do your set now, man. And I'm like, what? And he's just like, just do it now. There's a whole bunch of cunts waiting for
So you
Ubers.
went full Dave Chappelle for it.
Dude,
you just did an unmiked set out on the street.
I fucking just grabbed, you know those bar stools that have like a step to put your feet on?
Yeah.
I turned one of those because they had like a little outdoor fucking beer garden.
Yep.
And I just grabbed it and stood on that first step, so I was like above the rest. And I'm just like,
So you're as tall as normal people.
yeah, well, yeah, I was just, my missus at the time was 6'2", so she was like,
Speaking of having
yeah,
chiropractor.
yeah. I could finally fucking eat her out, but
69.
for my birthday, she got me another one of those stools. She somehow turned into her fucking birthday. So anyway,
Happy birthday to me.
so we get this fucking thing. We go. I grab the shower, set up, and I do like I do like 3 minutes, you know. And cunts were actually turning around. Fuck it, I'm not doing anything. And he was just like, dude, that was good, man. I'm doing a mic tomorrow. You should come along. So I scored a second night out of it and got another spot. So that's my little fucking comedy / story.
That's good. That's a good story. So that shows you why. Because, you know, it would have been very easy to just go, oh, this fucking whole thing's bullshit. I quit.
Yeah.
But instead you kept hustling and you turned what could have very easily been a very negative story into a positive.
Yeah.
That's good.
And also, I kind of got tighter with that dude. And the next night...
And it turns out that dude was Tom Gleeson. Catch Mark on SBS or ABC next week.
I'm not quite at... My career's not low enough to do fucking Q&A, but...
Well, guess you're not going to have to worry about that now, are you?
Yeah. If anyone wants to hear my political views, you're already fucking... like... If anyone's come to me for advice, you're already at a low point in your life. Yeah,
exactly right.
It's a bit like I'm working on this bit at the moment about how fucking.
You got to stop burning your bits.
No, I'm working on it. So
Right. Okay.
I haven't. This is me working on it.
Right, yeah, fair enough.
How funny is it that like people go to like they have like a food addiction, Biggest Loser, and all that shit. You just see someone that's like. I was just like at the lowest point in my life. I was going into like drive through at like 3 o'clock after I'd already had dinner. My wife didn't know I was out and shit. And there's like a 15-year-old that was just their job to be part of that.
Yeah.
So someone like, normally if someone's like at a lowest point in your life and you're struggling with addiction, they know what they're doing. They're like a dealer or they're like in a bad point. But some 15-year-old has helped you be like as in the same level of addiction.
There's one of my favourite lines from, do you ever see Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, his old mate, whatever his name is, he's a drug pusher. He's like, drug pushers don't exist, man. People love drugs. I am not a salesman.
It's like that.
I don't have to push this on anyone. People just love it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like fucking Dave Chappelle's got that baby drug dealer bit.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's so good, man. That's probably one of my favourite specials, the one that's on. Like, I forgot which one it was, but yeah.
It was one of his early ones. See, the problem is now is Dave Chappelle's, had that big trans thing and it's getting cancelled and all that, obviously by people that didn't watch it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Because at the end it becomes a very pro-trans thing and about his mate. But the problem that people don't talk about that special, it just wasn't funny.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. You can be Dave Chappelle, and if you sign on to do a special every year for 3 years in a row, you're going to run out of material. So, you got to slow burn it a bit.
Yeah.
And like, if Dave Chappelle can be not funny, anyone in the world can be not funny.
There was a point there where he was like, I knew I was going to be good. Like, he said he had to take a break because he was just burning out, just doing so many spots and being so fucking, like, good.
Have you seen the Kanye special?
No.
The doco?
No.
So I haven't seen it yet myself, but a mate of mine at work was telling me about it. And Kanye, before he had blown up, he was paying a camera crew to follow him around to document his glow-up story.
Before he blew up.
Before he was even writing for Jay-Z or any of that. And apparently there's one point in the documentary where I think someone that he was working... So a lot of people didn't want him to start rapping himself. They just wanted him to keep producing.
Yeah.
So they could keep producing rad shit for them. And
Yeah.
then so people were pissed off when he started doing it himself. And yeah, some rapper did a diss track about him. And apparently it's on the documentary. Kanye's like, already?
Yeah.
Like, this is not meant to happen for another couple of years.
He like knew.
Yeah, but
That's ahead of schedule.
Same with Conor McGregor. So you watch Notorious, which is his
thing, yeah.
It's the same deal. Before he got to the UFC, before he'd really blown up, he was paying a film crew to follow him around and document his story. Because some people just know what's going to happen. It's Dave Chappelle, Conor McGregor, Kanye, Prince.
Yeah.
Some people are just born different and they know what they're going to be.
Welcome to my before I blew up story. I'm here with Trent. We're fucking...
Here's the film crew, mate.
Yeah. Difference is I'm filming it too. I was actually talking to... So we're driving back from the gig because my missus came out to the gig last night with me. And she said to me something about like how, you know, it's hard when because we're planning... you know, the rest of our lives together.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, it's fucking... She was...
You can't plan it out like you're an accountant and you know what you're going to do and how much
as
you're going
much
to get
as I
for
try,
it.
like, as much as I'd like to budget the rest of my life now, it's not going to happen.
30% talent, 70% luck.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm...
20% talent, 10% hustle, 70% luck.
Yeah, and 100,000 something or other. Instagram followers. But like I was saying to her, I was just like, look, we can't have everything, so we just got to choose what we want in the order that we want it.
Yep.
So we can focus on this.
Just a list of priorities. Yeah.
A house is a priority.
Yeah.
And then you like move up from there. And I'm like, but eventually we will have everything we want if we just focus on it. How mature is this fucking relationship already? But anyway, I said to her, I'm like...
That's what you want in a teammate. Your missus is your teammate.
Well, that's the thing, like...
There's no hierarchy like there was back in the day, like we were saying with the asbestos thing, where the,
You wash me
the
clothes,
wives are cleaning the clothes and stuff. Like, no, we're a team. We do this shit together.
You're just here to smell my unfiltered fucking cigarettes.
Yeah, sorry about that, by the way. No, that's all right.
Cigar wasn't filtered. I'm not about to blame you. But anyway, so this fucking we're having a chat about it, and I said to her, because we got a photo at the end of the show on the stage, just her and I together.
Yeah, sweet.
And I was just like, the reason that I like getting photos is because that's like
documenting the journey.
The thing.
Sort of, yeah.
I'm like that'll be our like picture of like when you see Conor McGregor and his missus when he was first starting versus now with the same chick the whole time.
Yeah, and you see the glow up, as they call it nowadays.
And I was just like, that's why I like getting photos, because, you know, and she likes getting photos as well, you know, like it's not like I was just like, we're getting a photo, I like to sort of get these points in my life, dude. I've got videos that I did. I don't do them anymore, but when I first moved to Canberra, every 12 months I'd do like a video of like, so at the moment I just got a job at the basement. I actually still have a couple of videos. I've got one from when I first moved to Canberra.
That's your own time capsule.
Dude, I literally am just walking through my bedroom at my auntie's place. I just moved in with my auntie. I just got a job at Dick Smith. I'm working at the basement. Let's see how we go. And then like, you see, like, when I first moved into my own apartment, I'm like, I'm just living by myself. I got my own thing. They're the only 2 videos I did, but I didn't, like, do any more than that. But I actually still have 2 videos of me when I was, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah, you can add them to your documentary along with this clip.
I'd be lucky to have them on the outro of this podcast.
It's a good idea. Actually, do it. Actually, no, that is a good idea. I think you should cut them in a bit and give people a bit of context. I think.
Yeah.
Anyone that's made it this far actually cares about the story and the journey, so they're going to want to see it.
Yeah. What's your fucking story, man? Do you have a story for story time? I got one, dude.
All right.
I got one for you to tell, because I know some of your stories from over the years. Or did we tell it on the last one? I can't remember. there was a neck tat story. Would we tell when you got your neck
I
tat?
think I did tell that one about drinking the cocktail and
That's
floating
right.
around Melbourne.
Yeah.
And all the wormwood and the.
That's right. Yeah. Fuck. All right.
I think we told that one, and I think I told the one about getting arrested after Melbourne Cup Day, but they dropped me home. Did I tell that one?
No, that one is a good one. We didn't do
I
that.
didn't tell that one. Okay, all right.
We did when you met Chopper. We did when you
Yeah,
did the neck tat.
right. Okay, yeah.
And we did fucking kimono fucking old mate got kicked out of the bar for spitting at the bartender story.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay, so I'll tell the.
yeah, the fucking arrested one, man.
So I was young. Oh, was I? I was in my teens, and still living at home with mum and dad. And it was before I got my apprenticeship, and I was working as a telemarketer because the economy was terrible. Like, you couldn't even find an apprenticeship at the time. And so my options at the time were work as a telemarketer for $10 an hour.
Yep.
Or be on the dole. I mean, I fucking hate being a telemarketer, but I hate being on the dole even more. But anyway, so as a part of that, they at Melbourne Cup Day, the company would get a marquee at the Canberra Racecourse, and that was like our Christmas party sort of thing during Melbourne Cup.
Yep.
So we go on there, everything's free, and I'm treating it like a 19-year-old with free booze, doing what 19-year-olds with free booze do.
Yeah, you were 19, you're saying?
Yeah, I think I was 19, yeah, maybe 18, maybe 19, but thereabouts.
Yeah.
But so that happens, great day, awesome, go home. So my old man was working at the company as well, so the whole family got to go.
Yeah.
And we go home. But we got home early, and I wasn't done. And I'm like, no, we want to go out, I want to keep going. And mobile phones were pretty new. I must have been 19, actually, because I had a mobile phone. I didn't get one until I was 19, so there you go. So I've texted a mate, and she was at somewhere in Kingston. I can't remember the name of the bar, but somewhere in Kingston. I'm like, hey, let's go. Going to Kingston. Call up a cab. And this was back before Uber and all that sort of thing. And cabbies were really rude and arrogant. So this dude comes and picks me up, and the whole...
I only know one from that era, and I don't blame you.
Yeah. So he comes and picks me up, takes me all the way from Higgins to Kingston, which is a pretty long trip. He's just been a dickhead to me the whole time, right? And I had a heap of just shrapnel and a few notes in my pocket because cash was still king back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think it came to like a $64 taxi or something like that, ride or something like that. And the dude was just a dick. So normally I like tipping and treating these guys quite well, but the dude was such a dick. I was like, fuck you, you're not getting any tip. We get it. So let's say it was $64, and I think I had like $62 in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm like, that'll do. That's close enough. And also just like strutted off and like, by the time he figures it out, I'll be gone. He won't know which bar I've gone into, sort of thing. Well, turns out he took the time to count it up, and he wasn't happy with it. And he did somehow know which bar I went into. So he's called the cops on me. And the cops rocked up. Well, I mean, we probably didn't have to call the cops. There was just cops around that area anyway, just patrolling. But this is also, remember Star Security?
Yeah.
They had the light blue shirts that looked like the cop shirts.
Yeah.
And so quite often you'd have Star Security doing, like, bouncing these places. So I'm there, I get there, and fucking grab around for everyone. I'm there telling a tale, and I was probably bragging about how I just done this dude a bit dirty, sort of thing. And I'm telling this tale, and I get his tap on the shoulder. And meanwhile, everyone else at the table is sort of gone, oh. But I'm too excited about telling my tale that I hadn't read the room. And I get this tap on the shoulder, and I look around, and I just see the blue shirt. I don't really pay attention. I thought it was a Star Security person. I'm like, hey, hang on, just let me finish the tour. Blah, blah, blah. And everyone at the table goes, ooh. And I get another tap on the shoulder, like, Didn't I tell you I need to finish my story? Bitch be gone, you're a cop. Literally in the process of saying, bitch be gone, and figure out it's a cop, you're like, oh, well, this story just got a bit of sting in the tail, didn't it? So then they're like, oh, okay, so it just changes everything, and like, okay, we'll go have a chat. So they're there having a chat, and they're like, oh, you know, you technically, so one, the dude gave all my money back and I had to pay the full fare just on card, which fine. But then they're like, oh yeah, so technically you've done a runner on the cab, we could put you in jail overnight, we can fine you this much, blah, blah, blah. But instead, we're just going to take you home. I was like, all right, I'll take that. So they chucked me in the back of the divvy van, but I'm still like pretty drunk and belligerent about it all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just being a smart ass, and they chucked me in the back of the divvy van, and the dude's like, all right, put your seatbelt on. So, no. So, you have to put your seatbelt on. Like, who are you going to find? It's the driver that gets the seatbelt fine. Nah.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, is that right? Okay, cool. And just starts like just smashing every corner. I'm bouncing around like a fucking, like a ball in a
Fuck
bee.
yeah, dude.
And then they're laughing at me and stuff, and just bouncing my head off everything. Yeah.
Fuck.
But then at some point, like it starts to get a bit real. I'm like, all right, because it's still reasonably early at this time. It's probably only 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock at night. I was like, all right, hey guys, look, I'm sorry for being a smart ass here. I'll sit down and put my seatbelt on. And I've gone, look, can you please, because I still live with my mum and dad and the neighbours are going to be up, and it's February, so it's still almost light.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't need the neighbours seeing me getting dropped off in a cop car.
Yeah.
Can you please just drop me like 100 metres down the road? And then you sit there, you can watch me, I'll walk home. I'm not going to sneak off and not do anything, I promise you. Please, just do that. They're like, yeah, no worries, we'll do that. And then we get to the end of the journey, and they pulled up directly out front of Mum and Dad's house, let me out of the car, let me out of the back of the divvy van, and then put the lights on.
Oh, fuck, dude.
They're like, oh, you want to be a smart ass? I know, I'll be a smart ass too. And I get there and I see them put the lights on. I'm like, and they try to give me the speech again about how we could have fined you this much, we could have thrown you in the drunk tank for the night, we could have done that, but instead we're being nice. And I just go, what did I say about pulling up in front of my mum and dad's house? I'm very disappointed. And just turn around and march up the driveway. So,
you had your fucking white girl moment.
Yeah, mate. I think I was probably drinking a bloody pineapple cruise or something like that, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck, man. I was talking to this chick, like, she's in her 50s now, but, like, she was, like, one of my old bosses.
Yep.
And she was just like, yeah, I remember, like, when I was a young punk chick, I took a copper's gun off him. Like,
I've heard of tales like that.
And it's just like...
I mean, I've been a bit of a smart ass, but...
Who would do
not like that?
Yeah, the difference is, like... I'm like, yeah, the difference is, like, it's cute when you do it. For everyone, except...
If I did it,
it's cute
that'd
for...
be my last dumb story.
It's the fucking... It's cute for everyone except for the copper. But if I do it, it's not cute for anyone, especially the copper.
Yeah.
You know
exactly
what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Fucking...
Because we're not criminals, but we managed to look like them without actually being them.
Yeah. I was talking about
Well,
this.
you're not a criminal.
Well, I was talking to Hayden about this, and he was like, he was talking about how, like, you get people, like, coppers know who the bad people are.
It's the same. We were talking about it earlier with bartenders.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as a bartender, one of the things that you get is you're able to judge someone 2 steps within the door. You're like, yep, red hat's going to be a problem tonight.
Yep.
So coppers must have that even more.
Yeah, because they know who they're there when they're a problem. They don't have the... Because for everyone you call, there's 1 or 2 that aren't.
Yeah.
Whereas coppers, everyone they get called for is a problem.
Yeah. So a mate of mine, well, he's not my... So it was my old manager at Kmart Tire and Auto. His brother was a cop. And he made a really good point, like, cops never see anyone on their best day.
Yeah.
You're always seeing people on their worst. So he was talking about how hard it is to not get jaded and stuff like that and try to...
It doesn't take much to, like, get jaded, though. Like, when people are like, oh, you can't stereotype, it's just like, dude, I've seen, like, people. Like, I tell you what, I was out at the bar one night, on the night off with someone else that also worked there. And as we're coming in, they were like, that guy's going to be a fucking problem. This was years ago.
Yep.
And they weren't a bartender, they were a bartender.
Right, yeah.
And I was, without a fucking word of a lie, that dude started fucking brawl that night.
But is it jaded if you just keep being right?
Yeah.
Is it jaded or is it sensible?
Actually, to bring it full circle, it was the same night, well, not the same night, but it was around the same time that you had the trot on the beer bottle and you had your foot up.
Right, yeah.
So if a fight's breaking out and you're just sitting there like, I can't fucking do anything. So I'm like, oi, there's a fight over there, and you're just like... So, like...
I have 18 stitches in my foot right now. What am I going to do about it?
It was just before they had to re-stitch it too, so you weren't well either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fucking good time. But,
Was not.
No one ever said...
Got a good story out of it, at least.
No one ever says it's a good time when it was a good time. Like, it's used more when it was a shit time. Yeah. But fuck, man, between the two, we've got fucking a couple episodes under the cap, and we started two
about
new
7 or 8, don't we?
Well, depends. Like, people chop up their shit and put it on TikTok. We got like fucking 10 years worth of shit.
I think that's what you have to do, though. You have to put out those short reels.
That's why I've been doing it. Yeah.
I watch shitloads of those. I never knew I wanted Facebook short reels, but I'll go on a deep dive and just watch them for an hour.
Yeah. It's just like I could have watched a full thing.
or coming back to Mark Normand. Did we talk about him on camera or off?
No, we spoke about him in the previous episode.
Right, okay, yeah. So coming back to him, and his crowd work and stuff, like his little short Instagram videos that he does. I'll check Instagram I don't give a flying fuck about Instagram, but I'll check it every day just in case he's put something else up.
Yeah. And the good thing about the algorithm is they know that, so the first thing you'll see is his thing.
Yeah, brings it up.
Yeah. Fuck it, man. I'm all for the takeover of the robots, man. We've fucked this country. It's about time someone else had a crack at it. Like,
just give it back, mate.
I was talking to someone about this before, like earlier today. AI, like Terminator and shit, you know, they would look at, if they were like aware, because the whole thing came up, they interviewed a robot and they asked what its biggest fear was, and it said being turned off.
But I mean, isn't that just it's like the fear of death?
It's copied the fear of death from human, right?
I don't think AI is as big a thing as people make it out to be. Like, we are such complex machines.
Yeah.
How are you going to properly replicate that? With ones and zeros.
Unless they can learn themselves.
We have so many neurons and so many different pathways and stuff and all that.
Yeah, like
I don't think you can replicate the electrical patterns in the human brain.
You don't have to worry until you come out, until the microwave's fucking the toaster to make the fridge jealous.
That is such a dead joke.
That's the end of that one. We still got audio on that, so we'll wrap it up on that.
Sweet.
Cool. All right, well, fucking thanks for being on episode 69 with Trent, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Yeah, if you want a 69 with Trent, come find me. Hey, congrats again, brother.
Don't buy me a drink. Just name names. Yeah, right. Big Tony. You'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk.
All day.
Make people feel shamed for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn it into a hard drive. Yeah, right. We're here to
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of. Just give me $10.
All right.